Hey everybody, it's Ian here at JTech again. I'm just going to go over some basic engine components with you. Now on the stand here we have a nice Cat C7 engine. It's been slightly disassembled so we can get a better look at some of the parts. Now if we come to the front here, a nice front of the engine. If this was fully assembled, you'd be able to see another belt or other drives on it. If we drop down right here, there we can see the very front of the crankshaft. Now that's where, when the piston fires, it drives down and turns this, and then that is attached to the flywheel at the rear, and the rest of the drive chain is attached to that. Now if we come back up top, one little thing of note is the turbocharger. That helps input more air into the piston chamber to help with volumetric efficiency. Here we have the intake portion, and over here we have the exhaust portion. Now up top here, we have a nice little view of our rocker arms and our push rods. Now these are the portions right here where the rocker arms operate off the camshaft itself, which in turn, if we come over here, operate the intake and exhaust valves. Now that's very important for the type of engine you have. I've also note here are the injectors. Right here you see those little prongs. If this was fully assembled, you'd be able to see the wires coming off that help control the timing of injection. Now if we come here to the front again and drop down lower, here we can see the oil pan or the oil sump. Now if you look inside of there from underneath, coming up from the bottom, you would be able to see the crankshaft itself and where the piston rods connect to the crankshaft journals. Very important, those parts, which I'll explain a little more later. And once again, if you come around here to the back, that large area is where the flywheel is attached. The rest of the transmission and the vehicle drive is attached to that point. Now we're lucky enough to have a little bit of a disassembly here. We have a nice camshaft. This itself is what operates the push tubes and the intake and exhaust valves. As it rotates, the eccentric lobes push up on the push tubes and back down. Now also over here is a piston from a two-stroke engine. It's slightly different in design, and you see those rings nice and clearly there. That is the bottom ring, which is at the top of the screen, is what keeps a light oil film inside the cylinder, but not too much. The top rings, which is at the bottom of your view, would be what helps seal the cylinder itself during compression, ignition, and exhaust phases. Right here we have our nice little view of a connecting rod, and a special note right here is our bearing shell. Now that's very important. This itself is what rides on the crankshaft journal. It's very important to be smooth and of the correct size so the oil clearance is not too much or too little. You see on the side here, it's actually split, and a lot of types are made what's called fracture rod technology, which is they're made in a certain way, so when this piece comes off, it has to sit a certain way and not the reverse. Well, like I said, that's a very basic overview, and I hope you have a nice day.